Perfect Piastri in the Bahrain Grand Prix. What a day it was for McLaren. A 1-3 finish. Oscar Piastri, simply perfect. Comment down below your thoughts on the race weekend. Tell me who you thought was superb. Tell me who you thought had an absolute nightmare. The man started on pole. He had a great Saturday. He put that McLaren right there in pole position after what was quite a frantic qualifying in Bahrain. Considering what we had in Japan, listen, Bahrain was actually very much more exciting than what we saw in Suzuka. Credit to the Sakhir Circuit. And the man never looked back. Oscar started on pole and he was 15 seconds ahead by the end of the race. Never lost position. The pace was always good. The right tyre at the right time. There was no TV time for him whatsoever, and that's a good thing. But Piastri is firmly stamping his authority here in this title race. Remember the last time when he won the race in China, I said Oscar Piastri is literally in this title race. Now he's firmly in there. He's comfortable in the position and he's proven that he's able to handle being in a title fight, being in a massive title charge for McLaren. What a big opportunity it is to have the best car on the grid and now the opportunity to go ahead and win a championship for the first time in your career. P2 for George Russell. I tell you what, it was quite a drive from him as well. By the way, solid start for George Russell. It cannot go undermined. George Russell has been absolutely solid. Nobody's talking really about Mercedes this season. As I mentioned in my preview prediction, right? George Russell for pole position, purely because no one's talking about him. And the thing with drivers like him, when you don't speak about them and then you see how the race goes, you start to see, actually, this man could actually do some really good stuff. It was a bit stressful in the end though, because he was having a few issues. He was saying the brake-by-wire system, he had an issue with that. He had an issue on his dashboard. They were saying, look, if the dashboard goes, don't worry, just continue. And then I think there was an issue with the gears or the gearbox itself. I mean, the guy was having a lot of issues whilst being chased down by Lando Norris in his last few laps. The guy literally had a solid race. He started P3, gained on Charles Leclerc early doors, and the guy was like not necessarily close to Oscar, but the guy was comfortably in second position, was never really under threat. Great drive from George Russell. If you like F1 content like this, make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, more updates and even debates as well. Lando Norris P3, he wrapped up the podium, but I tell you what could have been, I mean, it was quite a crazy day for Lando Norris. It was a messy race for him. It started things off with him not even being in his pit box, for example. You know, he'd driven the car too far, he moved it a bit too far forward, and he was just out of the pit box, which Max Verstappen kindly snitched on. Didn't miss on that one. But look, there's cameras everywhere, there's stewards as well, so they would have picked up that anyway. But to give himself a 5-second penalty at the start, you know, it was just a tough one for Norris to digest. But it was all down to his own doing. And that's probably the theme of his race, really. He made the mistakes and having to rectify the mistakes he himself made. Even when he was going wheel-to-wheel action, he was locking up and then he would lose time. And in the end, he was like seconds, just milliseconds behind George Russell and yet couldn't overtake. And that's just because of these other little things that took place beforehand. Struggled to get past Charles Leclerc, who gave him a really good battle. But in the end, after a long, hard-fought battle, he did overtake Charles Leclerc into turn 4 right towards the end of the race. And they knew that, you know what, in order for the McLarens to get the 1-2, listen, Norris had a good start to the race. He gained about 3 positions from where he was. So he had a great start to the race. But again, it's because of what happened in qualifying that he had to try and make up for that race. It wasn't the greatest day for Norris at all. And especially when your teammate has been nothing but flawless, perfect, in other words. Lando Norris is going to take this as a massive hit in the face. But in the end, McLaren had 2 cars on the podium. Happy days for them. A good haul of points as well. So in Saudi Arabia, Norris has to cleanse all these issues that he's been having. Shout out to Alpine, they finally got points on the board. Pierre Gasly P7, he was P6 right until the last corner of the race, the last lap of the race. Max Verstappen overtaking him, Max Verstappen having a hard day. Yuki Tsunoda, however, got in the points as well for Red Bull, so a good haul of points for Red Bull. But Alpine, who had scored no points this season, the only team without points, Pierre Gasly gets that car into P7. Fair play to him. Jack Doohan as well had a bit of a mixed one because he was actually doing pretty well and then there was a lot of issues that was happening. I think he finished P15, so God knows what happened to Jack Doohan. But Gasly is the man in Bahrain. He done phenomenally well. He qualified P4, started P4 because of all the disqualifications that took place, all the grid penalties that took place for the Mercedes. But a great day, great weekend for Alpine, great weekend for Pierre Gasly in particular. Haas got a double points finish, can you believe it? Oliver Bearman, by the way, started P20, he finished P10. Esteban Ocon P8, solid points for Haas. This is a phenomenal result. Haas has been one of those teams where I feel like one driver has a great day, the other one doesn't necessarily have the best, or they seem to just have like one good weekend, one bad weekend, one good weekend, one bad weekend. This weekend, however, was absolutely superb. You could make a case for Oliver Bearman for being the driver of the day, because to climb up 10 points, now I know 10 places rather, but I know that this is Sakhir and it's a much more of a bigger open track where overtaking can take place and battles can happen, which by the way in Suzuka we had none of that. It was a very narrow circuit, the cars maybe a bit too big, dirty air, this, that and the other, but in Sakhir it was just perfect. When the weather is really hot, you really get a variance of all these tyres. When it's a 2-stop strategy, maybe 3 stops for some teams, it's really interesting to see watch the race unfold and watch it unpack. And I'll be honest, I didn't really pay much attention to Oliver Bearman in this race, because why would I when he starts P20? But in the end he got into a top 10 finish, and look, it was absolutely brilliant, and I think you can make an argument that he should have been the driver of the day. My driver of the day, however, Oscar Piastri, simply because he was flawless. In qualifying, he really put the car out in front when it was a lot of pressure on the McLarens, because people like George Russell, they were putting in great times, so was Charles Leclerc, they were putting in phenomenal times, and then it was down to what can McLaren do in this moment in time, and Piastri delivered. Unfortunately not Lando Norris, but Piastri done a phenomenal job for me, starting on pole, never lost position, won the race by 15 seconds, even after a safety car. Superb stuff from Oscar Piastri. Do you know who won the official driver of the day? Lewis Hamilton. I don't understand why. I get it, he started P9, I think he finished P6. Whoop-de-doo. The competition is so strange this season. Some of the people that have been getting driver of the day, like Yuki Tsunoda got one in Japan. Then you had Kimi Antonelli, which was a bit like, oh, okay, really? You know, it's been a weird mix of driver of the days, and I don't know what's been going on there. Maybe because it is a democracy after all. But there was great battling, there was great overtakes here in Bahrain, especially after the week we had in Japan. It was so good to see. But the story of the night, undoubtedly of the whole weekend, was perfect Piastri. Comment down below your thoughts on the race weekend. Tell me who you thought was superb. Tell me who you thought had an absolute nightmare. When will Lando Norris stop making mistakes that will be costing him points and losing them to his teammate? If you like F1 content like this, make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Formula 1 content, more updates and even debates as well, like this video here from YouTube. Until next time, lights out.